Hi guys, so I'm just answering question 36 from your homework 5.4. So this is where you can find this space under collaboration space homework help. Right here, least common multiple. Somebody asked the question, how do you do question number 36? Okay, so let's have a look at that one together. I might not make a video for every homework question, but for something like this, I'd like to explain for us together. So find two numbers with GCF of 6 and LCM of 36. So the first thing we're going to do here, let's find two numbers with greatest common factor of 6. Okay, so we have a lot of options, but let's see what are the first things that come up. So I have two numbers here. I'm going to write them as x and y because I don't know what my numbers are, but I have some possibilities, right? So the smallest number that has a factor of 6 is 1 times 6, and that gives me 6. So I could say, well, let's see, if x is 6, could that give me something? Y has to be a different number. So the next multiple of 6 is 12. 6 is a factor of the number 12, and 12 is a multiple of 6. I'm going to write that down here. 6 is a factor of 12, and vice versa, 12 is a multiple of 6. So my y could be a 12, but what else could y be? Because if I'm looking for multiples of 6, it could go as large as I wanted to, right? So it could be 12, or as I continue to go up, 3 times 6 gives me 18, 24, 30, 36, so on and so forth. Okay, so for my first criteria, my two numbers could be 6 and 12, 18, 24, 30, or 36. Now let's look at our second part here. Least common multiple. I need two numbers with least common multiple of 36. So that means as I use my two numbers, my x and y are now factors of 36. I also have to make sure that 36 is actually the smallest number they can have as a multiple. So let's see here. If 6 was my first number here, then how do I make 6 how does 36 become a multiple of 6? Well, I would have to do 6 times 6 in order for this to be a multiple. Okay, so that works. Now, could 12, 18, 24, or 30 be a multiple of 36? Be my lowest common multiple? No, it couldn't, because if my number was 12, well, the lowest common multiple of 6 and 12 would be 12, because 12 can be 2 times 6. Lowest common multiple of 6 and 18 would be 18, because 6 is also a factor of 18. I have 3 times 6 right here. So I need to find a number that is bigger than, that is 36 or bigger. Well, 36 itself is a multiple of 36. So my second number here for y could equal to 36. Because 36 here, it is times 1. 36 here is 6 times 6. So 36 is a 36 here is a multiple of 6, so that fulfills our first criteria where GCF had to equal 6. And we know that 1 times 36 is 36. 36 is also a factor of 36 itself. So I think these are my possible numbers, but now let's try it out just to make sure. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down here. LCM of 6 and 36. So let's find the LCM just to make sure. How do we find the LCM? Well, you know me, I like to use the prime factorization method, so I'm going to factorize it here. 6 can be factorized into 2 times 3, and 36 here can be 2 times 18, 2 times 9, and then you have 3 times 3. Prime factorization of 6 is just 2 times 3, and prime factorization of 36 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. So the lowest common multiple of the two numbers are, I have 2 times 3, and that gives me 6. And I need to make sure I have at least 2 2s and 2 3s. Well, I already have 1 2 here. I just need another 2. There we go. And I have a 3 already. I just need another 3 times 3. This here together gives me my 36. This is my lowest common multiple of the two numbers. I multiply them together. 2 times 3 is 6, times 2 is 12, times 3 is 36. There you go. Now I have found my two numbers that fulfills the criteria. Greatest common factor of 6. Yes, my greatest common factor between 6 and 36 has to be 6. And my lowest common multiple is 36 right here. So to finish the question off, the two numbers with a GCF of 6 and LCM of 36 are 6 and 36. Now you can have more than one answers, more than one solution for this question, okay? So for example, if your first number you had picked x equals 12 and you had picked y equals 18, well, between the two numbers, GCF of 12 and 18, the greatest common factor is still 6. So 2 times 6, 3 times 6, the largest number they have in common is 6. And the least common multiple of these two numbers is also 36. Right? So I can do 12 times 3 and 18 times 2. This is the smallest number that they are both factors of, basically. Okay, so least common multiple of the two is also 36. So you may have different solutions for this problem. The important thing is that you do this verification work, okay, so that you convince not just me, but also yourself that the answer is actually correct.